Silent Hill 2 begins with James Sunderland receiving a letter from his wife, Mary. The letter informs James that Mary is waiting for him in their special place in Silent Hill. This comes as a bit of a shock to James because Mary is no longer among the living. Driven by confusion, James travels to Silent Hill in search of answers and to find his wife. So join me as we enter Sunderland's Wonderland. I mean Silent Hill. Aside from the creepy noises that can be heard in the distance of this forest, we travel so far in, you get a feeling that there's no turning back and have no choice but to keep pressing onwards. Unsure of where we may end up in the town and if there's even a way out of Silent Hill, we enter the gates leading into the cemetery. Making our way in, we come across our first reoccurring character, Angela. She takes note of James heading for Silent Hill and alludes to the fact that it may not be the safest place to be.
Silent Hill? Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but...
Is it dangerous?
After being pointed in the right direction, we can leave the cemetery behind and start taking steps to our main destination, Silent Hill. The road ahead is long, much like the forest from before, also bringing with it strange noises. We had a brief respite before in between these two locations when speaking with Angela, but it's what James wanted, even if you'd rather leave or hang in the car while taking in the view.
I'm not lying!
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not.
As James enters the town of Silent Hill, a mix of emotions overwhelms him. There's a palpable sense of apprehension as the fog-laden town shrouds everything in an eerie and foreboding atmosphere, amplifying the feeling of unease and uncertainty. Blood is smeared on the ground as the camera shows off a shadowy figure escaping the fog. Here's hoping he can provide a map or directions. As we get closer, we hear a bunch of static coming from the radio as our shadowy figure turns to James. Never mind the tic-tac, try Gaviscon because this enemy has a severe case of acid reflux and there's no chance of directions either.
What the hell is it?
Making our way back into the streets, we notice they become packed with the enemies like the one from before. As James evades the enemies, we can make our way to the apartments as it's the only way of getting to the other side of town. There's no sound on the ground floor, only the echoing of James's footsteps can be heard. Hiking up to the third floor though, however, plays a theme that perfectly creeps up on you. Yeah, I need to think twice before I fully commit to leaving this place behind, based on the vibe being set. Simply because the roads leading into Silent Hill took forever. While going through the building, we pick up the flashlight. If you pay close attention to the dummy holding the light, the clothing on it looks very familiar. As we move through the tight corridors, James finds a weapon in a shopping cart and a key on the ground within arm's reach. It gets kicked away though and his hand gets a good stomping.
Ow!
And the kid gets away. We need to find another way around thanks to the random obstruction in our way. As James finds a way to get close to her though, a scream from what sounds like a child can be heard in the distance not far from James's location. As we dive further in the narrow passage, the noise on our radio starts to go off, revealing an uncanny scene with James inches away from a quiet and stationary enemy. The kid stomping on James's hand left it feeling sore, but there's no chance of revenge as this thing in our way is threatening to make our day worse, even with being on the other side of these bars. I'm getting a sudden urge to run in the opposite direction. The kid's lucky day, I guess. Her bodyguard stopped James from telling her off.
Hey, wait!
We eventually find the key that got kicked out of James' hand from earlier. Next up, he gets caught off guard as James forgets to knock before entering one of the apartments. It's that weird enemy again. James manages to hide, however, this enemy can feel his presence nearby. James, sensing his end arriving prematurely, starts to cap off a couple rounds, throwing the enemy off his trail. We end up getting a key allowing us access to the courtyard where you can collect an item that progresses the way forward and at the same time meet a new character. He's not doing so well though, and there's a corpse nearby.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear.
My name's James. James Sunderland.
Eddie.
Who's that dead guy in the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill anybody.
You're not friends with that red pyramid thing, are you?
Red pyramid thing? I don't know what you're talking about.
We bid Eddie farewell and continue searching for a way out via the fire escape. James learns that it was taken down and another building is in our way, which we can jump straight into. Inside, James can exit into the corridor, but not before fishing in the toilet for supplies. Did I mention the toilet's blocked? He gets it all over his hands and coat. Anyway, it unlocks additional supplies, which is perfect for later on. As we continue to investigate the rest of this more water-damaged apartment building, we end up running into Angela again from the cemetery from earlier in the game. She appears more open to James as they both go into how their search is going so far. James catches her at the right time because the whole being alone with a knife isn't really a good look.
Oh, it's you.
She becomes distant and tries to leave in a hurry after learning the truth about James's wife.
Anyway, she's dead.
She's dead?
Don't worry. I'm not crazy.
Once Angela leaves, we can collect the final coin and complete the puzzle to obtain the house key, granting us access to a room with... After this, we can finally check out of here, as we unlock the exit to the Blue Creek apartments. As we end up checking out, we end up checking into a boss fight with Pyramid Head. He's not in a good mood, seeing as it's the second time we interrupted him in his business. Maintaining a distance is the best way of going about putting a stop to the red pyramid thing. Hitting the creature slows his movements down. He'll go into a sort of bullet time when launching his attack. Yep, it's coming. He eventually backs off as he dives into the dirty water overflowing the nearby stairwell. Even though Pyramid Thing is in a hurry, get close enough and it'll make time for you in the afterlife. This act of aggression definitely hints at Pyramid being upset with James interrupting his playtime from before. As we emerge on the streets of Silent Hill and leave behind the apartment buildings, James finally catches up with the kid that stepped on his hand from before in the apartment. This kid's kind of a punk, with nothing better to do, as she refuses to own up what she did to James in the apartment building while cracking a smile.
You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
Yeah, not bothered by the fact that she kicked away a hope of escape and coming correct with her stomping game. She strangely takes offense when James notices a letter she's holding.
What's that letter?
She hits him with the "none of your business," leaving James more confused and potentially more offended.
Wait!
Charming kid, I know.
Huh?
Next up, we can proceed through the Rosewater Park. We come across someone looking off into the distance. James gets really excited as he starts to go off and shout,
Mary?
Yeah, to his disappointment, it's not the Mary he saw for that split second. Unapologetic in his approach and instead of confused, James is more intrigued as he proceeds to annoy her. She stands tall and comes back with,
It's Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I?
Ooh. In the midst of this, he realizes that he needs to travel to their other special place, the Lakeview Hotel.
Is this your only special place?
Well, there's the hotel too, I guess. The one on the lake? I wonder if it's still there.
The Lakeview Hotel? Yeah, it's still there.
James, after being pointed in the right direction, begins walking away, but he notices Maria following along.
You were gonna just leave me?
No, but...
With all these monsters around?
No,
As we leave the quiet and pleasant Rosewater Park behind us, we head further into town where James and Maria come across a bowling alley. Not really being Maria's thing though, as she bows out.
I'll wait here. I hate bowling.
I didn't come here to play, you know.
Hurry back, okay?
Popping into the building, a cutscene between Laura and Eddie starts to play. From the looks of it, they're getting along just fine.
Huh, you're just a gutless fatso.
That escalated quickly. As we make our way further into the building, the conversation between Laura and Eddie echoes throughout the bowling alley.
The lady you're looking for? What's her name? Mary?
In the next scene, James approaches Eddie, eventually asking him the question if he's here alone. As Eddie's in the middle of telling us, a bowling ball rolls up on us and cuts to Laura waving.
Bye-bye.
James catches energy from the thought of pursuit while Eddie seeks energy elsewhere. As James rushes to the exit, Maria turns up, all out of breath.
Did a little girl run out of here?
Yeah, she was too fast for me.
When control is returned to us, we can navigate James down the back alley, leading us to a dead end. If only Maria were into collecting Dragon Balls, she could wish for James to turn into a kid so he could fit through this tight alley. Fear not though, Maria isn't much of a collector of Dragon Balls. She makes up for it with her key collection, unlocking a bunch of locks on this door, making me wonder who truly is the master of unlocking.
If you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
Our quest for answers can continue thanks to Maria, allowing us to make our way through Heaven's Night. Since meeting Maria, it's been spontaneous, coming from Rosewater Park to the bowling alley and through this club. The player can really start to take in the town. But alas, James's quest for knowledge urges us back to the foggy streets of Silent Hill. As we leave the club, Maria spots Laura entering the building ahead of us. As Laura can be seen going into Brookhaven, James and Maria aren't far behind. Once inside, the hospital doesn't waste time in dishing out the care as the nurses in reception are all over James. The sound of them being close by though gives me anxiety, as well as the breathing like noises in this hallway. As we move through the building, the infinite energy of Laura starts catching up with Maria.
James. Wait a minute. I'm kinda tired.
She bows out for now, pops a couple pills, and she's away with the fairies. James, however, opts to continue to search for Laura. As we enter the highest floor of this building, which seems quiet enough to catch up on some reading. Fair play, James. Looking around though as we cool off our search for Laura and take in the night view, the silence is broken, like nails to a chalkboard. In the next scene, he's doing just fine. Yeah, assuming a sleeping pose. I wonder what's going through his mind. I bet he's wishing he opted to chill with Maria now.
So comfy.
Instead, here we are. From the vibration felt in the controller, in a lot of pain, staring at the ceiling, inches away from sleeping with the fishes. Joking aside though, I hope James is reconsidering chasing after Laura. She alludes to knowing more about his wife, but is it worth butting heads with Laura's bodyguard? The pyramid seems to always be close by whenever James is in pursuit of Laura. While James continues to risk his well-being in pursuit of the truth, toys can be spotted and the elusive Laura shows up next to them. James can finally catch up with her as he hopes to find out more of what she knows about Mary.
What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last year. Wait, there's something I gotta get.
Later, okay?
But it's really important.
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
Huh?
I want to go get it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Pretty harmless. All we gotta do is go right to the back of this poorly lit room and...
Laura!
Yeah, that's it. Now we're done for. You thought that it was curtains before with Pyramid on the rooftop, but no. Laura is the true mastermind here. She bails and leaves James in this messed up predicament. Are they choking James at their feet? After wiping the floor with them, sirens can be heard, deafening the harsh reception we've felt since entering Brookhaven.
James.
Maria can be heard in the background while James is being taken away. We're strangely transported to a very small courtyard. Is this what intensive care looks like? It's definitely where we're headed if James doesn't turn back now. Thinking about the long road leading us into town though, heaven feels so far away as we continue towards what seems like purgatory. I mean James discovering the truth. Brookhaven takes on a new look and Maria has disappeared. Instead, we're left with a very shallow breathing like noise and the sound of a heartbeat playing in the background. From the sound of it, the air in this room seems pretty thick and stuffy. So let's continue scouting ahead before we all suffocate in this cramped room. We escape into the basement while we discover key items that progress the game. A cutscene plays with Maria catching up to James. She ends up losing it, but then quickly calms down and throws concern for Laura being out there all alone.
So, what about Laura? Did you find her?
Yeah, but she ran away.
As James and Maria reunite, they can tackle a lot more together. Like this fridge for example, and this alarming elevator ride.
And our lucky, or should I say unlucky challenger today is James Sunderland!
Yeah, a lot of strange things have occurred since entering Brookhaven.
What was that?
Still, it's nothing compared to this next part as we enter a very narrow corridor that stretches far off into the distance, much like the descent here. Moving further into this dark space, Pyramid shows up. He's got it in for Maria, which sucks, but it's so cramped in here, our only choice is to keep moving. As we move further away from Pyramid, the music starts to crank up while we jump into a cutscene. James dives into the elevator, but the door closes behind him as he frantically mashes the elevator control panel to let Maria in. As the doors close, we can see James ascend into reception. Yeah, judging from his lack of movement, he wasn't able to save Maria. Even though we're away from this situation that just took place, the music won't let us forget as it continues to play while we explore the safe halls of reception. James should have taken Angela's advice from the cemetery, because if he did, he wouldn't need to be going through this pain. As James stares at the map and makes sense of where to go next, Laura can be seen casually walking by like it's daytime outside. When James leaves Brookhaven, he naturally reflects on what's happened so far. Trauma like that can easily destroy a person, especially if you let it. Laura's run off somewhere. James is feeling the pain of not being able to help Maria, asking his late wife for guidance and if she's even here. In the midst of this, James finds new resolve to pop himself back up from endless suffering, showing that while he's experienced deep pain, he's dealing with it as a man, and as the note on the map said, marches forward. As we continue making our way towards the light in this sea of darkness, more than possibly depicting James's current state of mind, next up we can enter the Historical Society. Inside we're briefly treated to artificial light before once again descending into the darkness. Even the images hung up around us are showcasing dark imagery. The isolation maintains its presence even with the overwhelming sounds of purgatory. Here's me thinking James is going down the right path, finding new resolve in the face of adversity, sticking to his guns and believing that Mary is waiting for James in their special place. James, however, feels that going down here into purgatory is the only way to get there. I mean, we've come all this way, and with the descent stretching endlessly underground, the game once again makes it hard to just turn back. As we reach the end of the stairs and head through the door, we enter what looks like a warden's office. As we progress further in and defeat the enemies in our way, up ahead we're shown a dark hole, a hole that James can't see the other side of. Yeah, clearly this is a mistake and we've made a wrong turn. We're just gonna double back and think things through, right James? It turns out there is no other way. This bottomless hole is James's next and potential final resting place. This is insanity, is what I'm thinking as I press the yes button, giving James the go ahead. So here we are with James stuck in a hole in a building long forgotten where no soul knows where we are. Okay, so what now, genius? Any bright ideas? Just a wall? Okay. Impossible to climb? Yeah, real fine place you got here, James. I'm getting special place vibes all over. After searching, James comes through and gets to work on getting us out of here. As we proceed through knee-deep, nasty water, we get a bit of a scare because the door ahead of us is locked and the key is located next door. Pretty safe, right? Not quite. As we collect the key, the lights go out. In all my Silent Hill experience, a flashlight going out is not a good look. Naturally, I'm going through my inventory trying to turn it back on. Good thing James picked up a spare battery from Brookhaven. Problem solved, right? Yeah, however, a bunch of insects now litter the room, damaging James. The door also locks, making things more uncomfortable. It's one thing after another as we face going down hole number 2 with James. Pitch black beyond the door? James can't tell how far the blackness stretches. Will you go down? Me, never. But here we go. As we follow James down, he can be seen trying to see better in the darkness around him. Whoa. Okay, it's Eddie, but before James can ask how the hell he got here or what he's up to, Eddie throws James off by saying,
Killing a person ain't no big deal.
Eddie plays James off with the, hey man, he was like this when I got here, honest speech. He bails immediately after this.
Anyway, I gotta run.
Leaving James behind in this place, wherever here is. Certainly doesn't look like the special place James was describing to Maria from earlier. RIP by the way. After grabbing the map of prison, we can continue towards our destination. Just up ahead though, get this. Yeah, if my soul hasn't left my body already from all the holes James has dived in, then it definitely has at this point. The other standout moments in prison are as follows. James picking up an item in this cell and... yeah, I don't want to spend another second in this place, and getting trapped down here is not on my list of things to do. The door eventually opens, allowing James to escape this cell. Next up, the open courtyard and its infinite darkness. After completing this puzzle, there's also this weird... and if you thought getting locked in the cell was bad, yeah, I don't know about James, but I need to get out of this place immediately. It turns out our only way of escape is diving even deeper underground. Emerging from one hole to another, James this time comes across a lot of disturbing stuff. Observe. And at the end of this area, yep, you guessed it, it's another hole. Again, James can't see the end of it, but here we go. My nausea and the sound of purgatory become more noticeable. It's just kind of ridiculous at this point. Even James, looking into the other hole up ahead, finally starts to feel the effects that I'm feeling. A brief cutscene plays showing James getting up and jumping into the elevator ahead of us. Here's me hoping if there's any chance of this going up, but no, instead, the descent continues. The haunting imagery like the floor above us also continues down here. Seems no matter how far James travels down, he can't get away from this type of imagery and water. Next up, there's a head-turning puzzle, which is ironic because at this point my head does feel like it's all over the place. After jumping down all the holes so far and seeing the messed up imagery all over this place. Anyway, after this, the way it's been so far, it's already more than I can handle. It gets better though, check this out. While James takes in Maria turning up safe and sound, it starts to show how I'm feeling, as she confuses James further by blurring the lines between Mary and Maria.
Maria? That thing! It stabbed you! There was blood everywhere!
Stabbed me? Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
She also encourages James to free her from this prison. While trekking through this unknown space, among all the confusion and regular enemies, the big bad pyramid shows up. He's also come better equipped, spearing away at James compared to the more slower and deadly Buster sword he's normally seen carrying around. But what's normal about anything so far? Speaking of, Angela is also down here. No time for questions though, she's caught up with a new monster, and only James can dispatch of this foe and save Angela. She gets pissed after this and starts to kick up a fuss. She's clearly in a bad way and has an easier time laying into James instead of showing him gratitude.
Anyway, you disgusting pig!
She even starts to accuse James of lying about Mary.
Liar! I know about you. You didn't want her around anymore. You probably found someone else.
After Angela leaves, we can get past an eerie puzzle about an innocent man hanging for a crime he never committed. After this, we can make our way to Maria. James, upon entering, discovers a defeated Maria. As bad as this scene is between James and Maria, it also serves as context for all the strange things happening with the game since James entering this building. The strangeness occurring in James's head doesn't end here though. Next up in the catacombs, there's a bunch of gravestones with familiar names on them. The final hole the game wants us to go down is James's own grave. It's isolated and stretches far off into the darkness ahead of us. What initially felt like bold and unique game design at the start of this adventure serves as representation of James's journey and emotional struggles he's grappled with so far, with more still to come, as we can see the walls around us start to shift into red. Eddie can be seen looking all depressed as James goes about discovering what's going on here.
Eddie? What are you doing? What does it look like?
Eddie starts breaking down his philosophy for the corpse piling up around him. The fight can begin with James's choice of words provoking Eddie.
Eddie, have you gone nuts? I knew it. You too!
As we defeat Eddie, we can move forward, but not without James noticing his latest actions.
I killed a human being.
With how James's mind has handled things so far, it's going to be interesting to see what lies beyond. As we emerge out of darkness, we can finally put the purgatory we were in behind us. After everything James's mind threw at us, we can take it easy in this brief respite as we set sail for the hotel off in the distance. Hands on his hips while he takes in the view. This place hasn't changed much in 3 years. I bet it hasn't, as we only had to travel deep in your mind to find your special place. Even while entering a place of joy for James, the game maintains its cold vibe from the feeling of isolation and the music playing in the background, which persists even after entering the hotel. Picking up the map is not only a good idea, but also serves to show off a message left for James, adding to the already ominous experience here so far. Our brief respite seems to be coming to an end, especially when James's heart nearly jumps out of his chest. She does her normal routine of teasing James and then adding insult to injury.
Did I scare you?
Yeah, you did.
Just like when they first met.
Ha ha!
Hey, wait!
As she casually rolls up to James and gets settled.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
No. Is that why you're here too?
She's here, isn't she? If you know where she is, tell me.
She hands a letter to James. I'm guessing it's the one she tricked us with in Brookhaven. She goes on to say not to snitch on her as she stole this letter from Rachel, the nurse looking after Mary at the time. It's a farewell letter addressed to Laura to only see after Mary has phased into another dimension. As it goes on to say, be nice to the people around her, including James. Mary also wishes Laura a happy birthday.
Laura, how old are you?
I turned 8 last week.
Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here? Is this the quiet, beautiful place she was talking about?
After Laura runs off again, more enemies spawn outside, getting in our way. As we head into reception and pick up the key to room 312, we also find a note for James regarding the videotape. As we navigate the hotel in search of this videotape and making our way to room 312, we come across another elevator. This time though, it's not happy about the items in James's possession weighing him down, forcing James to traverse the dark underground of the hotel with no way of defending himself. While James has no regard for his own safety, proven by how many holes he's gone down so far, with no way of knowing if he's even going to make it out on the other side, and for busting in on Pyramid disturbing his business and also lighting him up soon after, the player on the other hand is going to feel it. Having spent majority of the game with a variety of weapons to choose from, no matter that, we survived Purgatory, so off we go and collect the next set of items to proceed forward in the game. This includes that videotape. Once we swing back and evade the monsters surrounding the area ahead of us, we can make our way back to the possessions that we left behind. Typical, the enemies just outside disappear after getting your weapons back. Completing the music box puzzle in reception provides James with the key to the stairwell leading to room 312. Inside we see a spacious and clean room, perfect for relaxing, and I bet the view outside is awesome. The mystical boat ride, minus the ominous music, almost makes up for that purgatory we went through just to get here. As we look around room 312, we spot a VCR next to the CRT. Time to check out what's on that tape.
Are you taping again? Come on. It's so peaceful.
James not moving an inch and not saying anything while the somber music plays in the background says it all. As he realizes what his mind has been suppressing to shield himself from, the reality on this tape. It's hard for all of us to see and digest. Now we know why it was buried deep in his mind. It's nothing but pure pain for James. As all this sets in, Laura makes her way into room 312. Amazing, just as James found common ground with her, he's gonna have to come clean and reveal what actually happened to Mary.
Mary's gone. She's dead.
She died because she was sick?
No. I killed her.
And how does Laura react to this?
I knew it! You didn't care about her! I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you!
She hates us, more than she already did.
Ha ha!
She's so mad at this point she could end up being the final boss.
Why'd you do it? I hate you!
She's not going to be the final boss, right? James comes back with a simple and sincere sounding sorry.
I'm sorry.
Towering over her as he confirms that Mary's no longer here anymore. She leaves James in utter disbelief, further adding to the mountain of weight on James's shoulders as he sinks back into the armchair. James's only desire now is to be left alone, as he can be seen resting slumped in defeat, like the guy from that apartment. The radio in James's pocket starts going off, similar to an enemy close by. The voice on the radio, however, sounds very familiar.
That voice.
This gives James the motivation he needs to go off and get out of this cozy armchair and get moving again. As we exit room 312, the hotel seems different compared to before, giving off a more wet and discarded atmosphere. As we make our way through one door to the next, we end up warping around the place. All Silent Hill has done so far is taunt James and challenge him. One of the rooms in the hotel plays a cutscene with James going back and forth with the doctor.
Mary's going to die? You must be joking.
I'm very sorry.
But you're a doctor. It's your job to heal people. How can you just let her die?
With everything all over the place now, the basement is our only option. It's definitely the right way, as the flooding gets much worse and the music also changes. Moving forward in this next cutscene, the walls around James and Angela are on fire. James for a second becomes Angela's mama.
Mama! Mama, I was looking for you. Now you're the only one left. Maybe then I can rest.
She soon realizes it's just good old James, snapping her out of this delusion as she proceeds to apologize.
You're not my mama. It's you. I'm sorry.
Angela, no.
She breaks it down for James, initially thanking him for saving her back in the apartments, but at the same time wishes that he didn't. As we've seen James barely keeping it together, dealing with his own problems, there's no way he can save Eddie or Angela. But that doesn't stop him from trying.
Hey, I didn't mean anything.
Give me back that knife.
No, I won't.
The thing to note here, as Angela alluded to, both Eddie and Angela don't wish to be saved. With no way to pursue Angela and all the flames surrounding her, we can only watch as she moves further away from James. When we exit the door, we're warped into a flooded stairwell, and up ahead, dripping wet with yellow tape everywhere as we make our way through what feels like an abandoned crime scene, with the narrow passage up ahead leading us to a save point. In the next room, a cutscene plays showing James spotting something up ahead.
Stop! Leave her alone! Leave us both the hell alone!
As his screams fall on deaf ears, both Pyramid Heads execute Maria, for James to see all over again. His endless suffering brings him closer to the ground.
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
As James rises to his feet, so does his resolve to keep moving on and put an end to this endless nightmare and punishment. As I help James out of this predicament by shooting and evading the deadly spears from the two Pyramid Heads. We can take the key items and get out of here. As we walk the final long corridor, we can hear past history between James and Mary.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone already. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
It's quite tough on the player as the game masterfully unveils a partial amount of James's pain, just enough for us to get a clear picture of how things went down between the two in Mary's final days. As we enter the final area with rain filling up the hole beneath us, we ascend until we can't go any further, where there's no turning back as the staircase that brought us here collapses. Now it's just James and what looks like Mary staring out into the distance.
Wrong again. Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? Maria, I'm done with you.
After the cutscene, we can throw down with the final boss, James's delusion of Mary. Maria at a distance will let out annoying flying enemies to hold James down while she gets close to him. Dodging her flying pets and maintaining enough distance from Maria while firing away is enough to get the job done. A cutscene plays showing Maria going down as the floor goes to James to lay down the final smackdown. Her role as a sort of succubus in the game comes to an end. Every ending in Silent Hill 2 offers a distinct viewpoint of James's personal odyssey, his remorse and his connection with Mary. The interpretations and significance associated with these things are subjective, allowing you to form your own understanding. James throughout the adventure showed a lot of courage and tried his best to save Angela and Eddie in his own personal journey through Silent Hill. So while it's nice to believe James walks away from all this, alongside Laura exiting the cemetery from the start of the game, leaving Silent Hill behind, the game also makes it easy for me to believe the in-water ending, because throughout the game, while James found resolve and reason to keep going, he had little regard for his own safety. Busting in on Pyramid Head while he's getting down is just insane to think about. Not only that, he lets him have it, adding fuel to the fire. Pyramid got him back on that rooftop in Brookhaven, so I guess they're even. And not to mention all the holes James descended into, not knowing if there's even a way out on the other side. In the next scene, James can be seen with the real Mary.
I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not the whole truth.
Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
You also said that you didn't want to die.
He reveals that a part of him felt hatred towards Mary for taking his life away during their final moments together.
You killed me, and you're suffering for it. It's enough, James.
Mary is not here anymore as much as James wants her to be, as is once again reminded he can never be with her again. James picks up Mary and heads for his car.
Now I understand the real reason I came to this town. I wonder, what was I afraid of? Without you, Mary, I've got nothing. Now we can be together.
In the end, Silent Hill 2 becomes a twisted mirror for James, reflecting his innermost feelings, forcing him to confront his past, his guilt, and his own fragility. In his desperate attempt to find the light in his life, only then was he able to get over his past desires holding him back and face the truth. His voluntary sacrifice gave him the closure he was looking for. James has been in a very dark place in his mind for a while now. Receiving this letter from Mary at the start of the game was an opportunity for James to find the light in his life. Bearing the brunt of his existence long after taking it upon himself to end his wife's suffering weighed heavy on James as he looked in the mirror, preparing himself to face malevolent forces head on, going into the deepest and darkest possible places of his mind, allowing him to reach the brightest possible light through the descent of his own purgatory.
I know I was a burden on you.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. The support the channel has received recently is incredible. Thank you all so much. And for the lovely comments on the channel. You guys are awesome, and I hope to see you all on the next video on Controller Type A. Take care for now.